Hi, I'm Mike Massier, and welcome to Short Film Showcase, where we feature the very best short films and their filmmakers from the New England region. On today's episode, we have two great actors from New England. Up first, it's Ken Holmes. Ken Holmes.
Hey, Mike.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing?
Good to meet you.
Great to be here.
We haven't really met before, but I'm looking at your IMDb profile bio. It's quite impressive. Tell us a little bit about your childhood up in Teaneck, New Jersey. Is that right?
Well, I was born in Teaneck, New Jersey. I moved to Vermont, though, when I was about 3 years old. My parents thought it'd be a better place to raise a kid. So I was always like into acting, though, and very theatrical. So all throughout school, I would just pretend to be all these different characters. Like up until first grade, we were actually talking before, and I played this fundamentalist preacher one time. My parents were asked, like, are you guys religious? Like, why is your son talking about the apocalypse coming and telling the kids they're all going to die and be sent up to heaven or go down to hell?
Right, right.
And I was always doing stuff like that, and because I didn't have the outlet of acting yet, I didn't quite realize what I was yet. So I would just do all these things and act out in school. One time I tossed people's belongings into the trash, like their backpacks and their books, and just said, we don't need all these material possessions. And I was just like that crazy kid, and people loved me back in school because I was that crazy kid who would do anything.
Right.
But eventually I had to be taken out of school. And my parents decided to put me into homeschooling instead.
Okay.
And around that time, I started doing radio shows in my bedroom, pseudo radio shows, you know, like on a tape recorder. And also I acted in a couple homeschool plays. And at that time, I thought that acting was doing characters, like doing accents, doing different voices. So every character I played had a different accent. And of course, I was a little kid. I didn't study accents at all, so I just do like fake accents, like, you know, my fake Italian accent, you know. And it was fun. But I grew up a little bit as an actor around the age of 12. I got into a college production.
Oh, wow.
Of The Merry Wives of Windsor. And at that point, when I saw the college actors, I realized, you know, this is really what I want to do. It was a Shakespeare production.
You were in with the big kids, so to speak.
Exactly.
And that must have been very impressive as a 12-year-old young guy, and you're with these, I would assume, beautiful college actresses
yeah.
and these cool dudes from the college. And
when I was 12, that was, you know, acting with professional actors, was a college production.
yeah, that's very cool. What was your role in that again?
I was Robin. He was a little page.
Okay.
And I totally overacted, but I was good. I mean, I was good as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I did a British accent. Nobody else in the play did a British accent, so I was like the one person with a British accent, but I got away with it because I was the kid actor. So I remember, like, you know, sir, there's a woman who needs to speak with you, and, you know, double takes when I see the fellow servant sleeping, like, oh.
Were you an only child, Ken?
I am, yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so it kind of explains some of the desire to entertain, because you're entertaining yourself, because without, you know, with no siblings to kind of bounce the mud at each other in the backyard, you're kind of there to create.
Yes.
And create you did.
And the desire to have voices, too, have different characters. Like growing up, I had all these different characters who I would always be doing with my friends and stuff. And that went on until about 12, actually. Actually, I still do some of the characters.
Well, if I ever show up in your backyard and throwing mud at you, you'll know why. Stop doing the characters.
Yeah.
But I think it's fantastic that and this, I mean, it makes me think of Saturday Night Live, you know, actors and performers, comedians who just can do the accents. And you don't, I mean, being trained to do accents is highly important, but if you can just have the natural knack or tendency to try them, like you did as a kid, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what happened next? You did the thing when you were 12 and with the college kids, and then you had a life-changing event in 2006. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, I had been taking college classes throughout that, after 12, studying acting. And then in 2006, I decided to study abroad with the school, and I studied art and theater. And I immersed myself in the theater in London. I went to several shows, a show every night, sometimes 2 shows in one day. And I love to travel off the beaten path and just like go to very intimate venues, see very obscure plays, shows that the tourists didn't know about. And you could see shows for fairly cheap too, which was cool. But I was just blown away by a lot of the great actors and how they really took their craft seriously. It wasn't just a showboat. Like, I felt like I was actually watching genuine people. And I felt like a fly on the wall a lot of the times. Like, I wasn't watching actors. I was just in somebody's living room or wherever the setting took place. I also actually got to study with Jeremy Irons while I was there, too.
Wow.
And he was incredible. The first, when I saw him, he had his dogs with him.
Yep.
And he gave the first thing he said, and I'll never forget it. He said, "Look at these dogs. Everybody's looking at the dogs. Like, if you get bored, your eyes will wander from me to the dogs. And they're not even trying to do anything. That's great acting. They're just naturally interesting."
But the dogs are the dogs. They're not begging for attention.
They're not trying.
Yeah.
And yet, they're probably more interesting than I am.
Wow. Now, he was leading a workshop or a class, or how did
he was leading a workshop.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. He was actually in a play around that same time. So when he wasn't rehearsing the play, I guess he just did this workshop.
Did you get to see the play as well? Or no?
I actually did not.
That's
no,
okay.
No.
He was in a movie where he played twins, I believe. I'm trying to way back when. I believe he played two identical twins in the same film. But he's
I believe I saw that. Actually.
Yeah.
Another movie was the one that he did with Annette Bening, I think. That was an interesting film, too. Everybody that I took the class with, it was a younger group of kids, and a lot of people were interested in all the great work he's done, but most people seem to be interested in him as Scar in The Lion King.
Okay.
Like, that's all the questions he got.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So you kind of got inspired, revved up, emotionally changed forever by that experience, and then you come back, and what happens next?
Well, then I get into, then I attend college full-time, officially, studying theater, and I continued to love to work in the college environment and study in that environment. I did several plays. My favorite was probably Twelfth Night. I got to play Sir Andrew Aguecheek, the unlucky suitor, the unwanted suitor. And I actually based my performance off of another actor who also played Andrew Aguecheek. But because each actor is different, even though I was basing my performance off of this other actor, he actually saw the performance and didn't realize I was copying him. So even copying somebody, you still have your own personal characteristics and all that. And it was a bizarre performance. I was kind of like, this was my craziest performance, definitely. Very comical. I sported a blonde wig, all like white makeup, purple outfit that kind of made me, it shaped me like a lamp, sort of.
Okay.
And it was really strange.
You went to the outer
Very
limits.
funny, though.
Yeah.
I went to the outer limits, definitely.
That's cool.
And I loved doing, during my college years, I mostly did comedy. Another performance I did was Mr. DePina in You Can't Take It With You.
Okay.
And again, I was sort of the guy who'd do anything. I shaved my head for that part. Just the top half, though. Like, around here was still there. But, you know, I don't care. I want to be an actor. I don't really care what I look like in my day-to-day life. So he was like the overweight, balding, goofy, what was he, Iceman.
Kind of a schlep character.
Yeah, schlep.
Ken, man, you've got the right attitude. You're just biting into these experiences, going for it, and not letting anything hold you back.
Yeah.
And that's just, you've got a passion for it, which is awesome. Here's a question. What's your day-to-day life like? And I'm guessing that every day is different. But is there any type of pattern or ritual that you go through? Maybe as you're preparing, let's say you're in a production of a film or a play, is there anything you do before your shooting or before your play performance to get revved up for that evening's work?
Well, I like to, if I'm given the script to prepare, I like to be prepared earlier so I don't have to be looking at it before we shoot or before I go on stage. I find that too distracting. It's a good idea to immerse yourself in the characters and the life of the other character, like the life of the the situation before you have to shoot. So I like to prepare beforehand. When it comes time to actually perform, I like that just to be the focus. Like I don't want to think about it too much.
Okay.
I like to be in the moment. And if I'm over prepared, like if I over practice, if I over rehearse, then I'm not in the moment. Obviously, if I'm unfamiliar with the script, because I have worked on a lot of films actually where I don't know what I'm going to be doing before I get to the set.
Right.
Then that's a totally different situation. But even then, I just like look at the lines a little bit before, and once we start shooting, try not to think about it too much.
Nice.
Because with a film, there's so many takes. Just explore.
Right. I like that. Just explore. And a lot of, I coach acting, and some of my students get hung up on memorizing lines. Now, as an actor of experience like yourself, what is your technique, if I can ask, about memorizing lines, which is a fundamental, but it can be difficult for a lot of people.
It is. I read it out loud.
Okay.
I have to do it out loud. I can't read it silently because I memorize based off of how my voice sounds saying the lines. Doesn't mean I have to say that way forever. In fact, I hope I don't, because if you get glued in too early to how you're going to do it, there's no room to explore.
Right.
But I do like to hear my voice, as narcissistic as that sounds, I like to hear my voice saying the lines.
Okay.
So I read through it a few times. Usually doesn't take me very long, usually only a day or two, if I have a lot of lines.
You're one of the lucky ones or the talented ones that have that quick memory capability, which is great as an actor. And I've learned working with different actors, everyone's different. Some people can just get it, and some people have a lot of trouble. So you're blessed with that strength. That's great.
Yeah, I also like to improvise too.
Oh, okay.
So if it's a loose script, I like to just play around with the lines.
Yeah.
And fortunately with film, if the director's not happy with what I'm doing, we don't have to use it.
Right, right. When you talk about that and you're talking about coming to the set and maybe wanting to improvise, what has been your experience like? Do some directors enjoy that? Do some kind of say, hey, Ken, man, just stick to the script, or what's going on with that?
Usually I'm asked to improvise.
Okay.
Sometimes I go too far, though,
which
is, it has to happen. You have to go too far. Because if
Right.
you don't go too far, then,
You haven't gone far enough.
you haven't gone far enough. Exactly.
Yeah.
Make mistakes.
Right.
If a director doesn't want me to make mistakes, then that's probably a director I don't want to work with, honestly.
They want to be robotic in their
Right.
procedures.
Yeah. But no, I have gone too far, definitely. Like this film I just did, naturally I'm a comic actor. And lately the roles I've been doing have not been comical roles, but I still come from that background. So there was one line I kept saying, kind of funny. And it got a laugh, but it shouldn't have been getting a laugh because it was a serious scene.
Right.
So they told me in a reshoot, don't say the line like that. There was one particular word, like I talked about police, and I kept saying it like police. And it was funny, but it didn't. The scene shouldn't be funny.
Okay.
So yeah, I go too far sometimes, but I think you have to.
You have to push those boundaries to see what's going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool. So I like that. And you talk about the type of directors you want to work with. When you go to audition for a film, this is what I tell people. You're auditioning them just as much as they are for you, because the director of the piece, or the writer, director, producer, what have you, they need an actor more than the actor needs to be in the movie.
True. Yeah.
So have you been in situations? You don't give out names or anything, but anytime you go out for a film and you're like, man, I don't know about this, or this setup concerns me, or anything like that ever happened?
Yeah, I think that's happened.
Yeah.
I try to get a good feeling when I'm at an audition, especially if I don't know the director or the crew or the company, of if I want to do the project or not.
Right.
And usually you can sort of tell in the audition environment. And yes, I'm totally judging everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for young actors out there, sometimes they get put in these weird situations with a crew or a director that's not quite up to par, and they feel that they owe it to somebody to do the piece anyway.
Yeah.
But what we try to say is, you don't owe anybody anything. Do what's right for you and the project.
Yeah.
Not just one or the other.
Yep. I love auditioning, though. Even if I don't feel like the project is right for me, whether I don't think I'm right for the role or if I just think the project's beneath me, I still just love going in and auditioning because it's always a performance. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman was saying, just always perform.
Yeah.
are always, you know, any chance you get to perform, take it.
Was he one of your role
He
models?
was, yeah, he was.
Very unfortunate, but
It was. I saw him, first time I ever saw him was in a production of The Seagull in New York City,
Oh, wow.
in Central Park. I'd never heard of him at that point. He was acting on stage with Meryl Streep, Kevin Kline, John Goodman, Christopher Walken, Natalie Portman, like tons of great actors were in the show. You actually had to sleep in the park to see the show.
Wow.
The line was that long. And of all the actors, many of whom I was a fan of, he was the one, this guy I'd never heard of, who blew me away.
Wow.
And at that point, he became my favorite actor.
Well, it's just a tragedy that he passed so young,
Yeah.
but he lives on through his work.
Absolutely.
Who else is up there with your heroes of the theater and film?
Oh, man, there are quite a few. Lately, I've been sort of getting into Paul Dano a lot, actually.
Okay.
Who else? Let's see. Terrence Howard is a great actor. I'm a big fan of Jennifer Connelly. I've actually been a fan of for years.
Oh, yeah.
She was one of my early crushes, too.
Sure.
Along with Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
good show, Taxi Driver and
Yeah,
everything else.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who else? Denzel Washington is great.
Yeah.
There's numerous.
Where do you see yourself going, Ken, in your career? What's the goal?
Well, as I said, I'm really into comical roles.
Okay.
Another actor I forgot to mention was Paul Rudd.
Oh, yeah.
He's an inspiration for me, as is James Franco, actually.
Yeah.
And so I sort of see myself going in that kind of route of maybe doing some comedy, some like Saturday Night Live type stuff. One of the college experiences that I had the most fun on was a cabaret. And it was like a variety show, skits, kind of like Saturday Night Live. And thing I got known for was doing this song called Inflatable You, written by the great Tim Minchin, fantastic Australian comedian. And I sang this love song to this blow-up doll. And it was definitely outrageous, but I did it just straight face, like a love ballad, well, it was a love ballad. And that was one of the highlights of my college career, actually, was doing this song. So I want to do more like that. Right now, I'm doing a lot of horror films, which I love, a lot of science fiction. And I definitely want to continue with those as well as comedy. And I'm also a writer in addition to acting. So I'd love to write my own material, perhaps write and direct as well. And I love doing poetry. So I'd love to be like a performance poet, like Saul Williams is one of my inspirations.
Slam.
Yep. Saul Williams, wow. Taylor Mali. I'd love to be known for doing that. And also hip hop too. That's a kind of something I do on the side.
Ken, man, you're just a Renaissance guy. And as such, we've run out of time, but I want to thank you so much.
Oh, all right.
Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right now on Short Film Showcase, we're very happy to have an encore presentation of Sabine Modestin's series 13 Witches. Let's check out episode 1 and 2 of Sabine's 13 Witches right here on Short Film Showcase.
Loser, go get a job. You're so rude sometimes. Yeah, she's the loser. Yeah. Thanks. Spare some change? Sure. In fact, I'll do something better than that. Would you like to eat? My treat.
You still gonna spare some change?
Definitely. I feel really generous today. I'm Nemesis 7. And you are?
Athena. Yeah, I know, like a goddess. Or give me with the goddess these days.
You probably are. You just don't know it yet. What do you want to eat?
I haven't had a shower for a few days, so I don't think a restaurant's a good idea.
Let's go to my place then.
Right. Yeah, because for all I know, you could be a serial killer or a rapist or something. That's, yeah.
Funny. You know, I used to be in the same situation like you. Not too long ago. So I love helping people. Thanks. You're welcome. Excuse my place. I'm an artist. I like my things to look different.
Yeah, it's different. So, where's your shower?
This door. There is some clean clothes inside, so if you want, you can take them.
I was like you were expecting me.
Yeah. Like I said, I like to help people. So you're not the only one.
Nemesis? Thanks for the outfit. I brought some of your makeup.
Go back to your stupid master. I can handle it myself.
She's the first one. He wants to make sure you know to bring her back.
Huh. After 3 centuries, this dumbass demon still don't think that I can do it myself? After all the soul I brought to him?
It's not that. Athena's very special. She's the strongest after Diana. You shouldn't start by doing her. If she finds out, she will fight. Remember, she needs to want to die. You force her, she'll still get to keep half her willpower, and you won't be able to totally control her, even if you take her soul. Now, did you drink some blood so you can have enough power to put her in a trance?
Go away. I know she's special to you. But get out.
You should have listened to Asmodeus. Start with Isis or Pandora.
I said go away.
want?
Don't answer me. That's the woman who brought you here.
What the f does she want then?
She'll tell you herself. I've always thought you were the most beautiful woman ever.
What? We met before. You know, I know a lot of losers, but I don't remember you.
We've met, yes. Centuries ago. I offered you my love, but you didn't want me at the time.
Yeah, it's no wonder.
Anubis, leave us alone.
No. I have orders to follow, so I'm not going to leave. I'll be here if you need me.
As you will, but stay in your corner.
So what's with the lion? We're in the African jungle.
What if I tell you we were sisters?
I would tell you, you smoke way too much crack, lady.
We were sisters, centuries ago. And we were burned by men who thought that we were witches. We were in the same family because our mother adopted all of us.
You know, I didn't smoke any dope today, so I don't feel like listening to your fairy tales. You know, if you're gonna kill me, just kill me now, okay? At this point, I don't even care.
You're right. Why do I even bother to explain?
No, that's not the way!
Now, beautiful water, you only have seconds to live. I can bring you back and make you more powerful. Or I can let you die.
Bring me back, bitch.
Welcome back to Short Film Showcase. Right now we have a very special guest. It's Jose Gonsalvez.
Yes.
Now is it Jose Gonsalvez or Jose Gonsalvez?
Jose Gonsalvez.
Jose Gonsalvez.
Just flows.
Well, we're just joking around because we're good friends.
Absolutely.
And we've worked together on at least 3 projects recently. And,
Very grateful for that as well.
Yeah, it's been fun. We did something for Seth Chitwood's In the Bedroom web series. And you played a gentleman whose wife, played by Lanisha Edmonds, are having a dispute. And so when you take on a Mike Massier project,
Yes.
but Jose, you're doing so much regionally in New England and stretching out. Tell us about your career as it stands right now.
It's time for me to start spreading my wings and trying to test different markets, different waters.
Okay.
I've been saying this for the past 6 months.
Yep.
And it's disrespectful to keep saying that and not doing it
Right.
when I've got a tremendous support network around me, which is making it possible for me to do all the acting that I do, for me to just stay stagnant and keep doing the same things I'm doing, which I'm very grateful for.
Right.
The reason they're giving me this opportunity is so I can try to make it to bigger screens. In order to do that, I have to get to New York City or LA. New York's closer, so that's going to be my first test.
So this is good because we were with an actor who, for those that know that you apply yourselves to every role that you have. You know, whether it's me or our buddy Bryan Casey or anyone that's working with you, you really go out there and go for it. Now, you're at a point that you're sharing with us that you really want to take it to the next level.
Absolutely.
And tell us where your head is at even further.
Well, about 9 months ago, I decided that acting was what I really wanted to do with my life. You know, it fulfilled me, made me really happy. And I'm comforted when I'm able to kind of change and mutate myself into these different roles and different characters. And so I stepped back from a full-time position at Fidelity Investments in order to further pursue acting with the support of my wife and my parents who live in Exeter, Rhode Island, and my children who said, "Dad, go for it."
Right.
So I began putting together my materials, my website, my polishing off my resume, new headshots, all kind of marketing materials. In order to, once I get into that bigger market, I'm right there with the big boys.
Right.
I'm step for step with them. I don't want to look like the new fish or the guy who's not really prepared and ready to go out there. So along with improving my chops, taking as many intensives with many different acting coaches, including yourself, I've also put together these materials. And now I'm part-time at Fidelity, but my phone keeps ringing for these roles to, this show or that film, which is great. I'm eternally grateful for that. But I kind of have to start to turn off the spigot and start leaving myself some free time so I can get to New York and get to do some auditions out there and really get out there and take a swim with the big fish.
The big fish, I was going to say, the metaphor of the fish. We all know that one. And so you're at this point, Jose, which is very interesting to me because we've had prior guests, my buddy Tom Paolino, who went out to Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
And doing quite well as a follow-up. But for yourself, this is a really interesting point. The balance between accepting work that's coming your way and then saying, hey, I need some time if I'm going to travel up to New York City once or twice or 3 times a month for an audition. I can't do everything that's offered to me.
Yeah.
And that's tough.
I've already started, as of maybe 5 or 6 months ago, not turning down work, but kind of funneling what I'm willing to do.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have to get paid for what we do. And since I did step down at Fidelity, I do need to kind of, find a way to replace some of that income.
Right.
So I've begun to tap those different resources that will come to me. Or if I audition for something and it's a project, I want to know on the front end, is this something that pays or something that doesn't pay?
Right.
So I would say maybe about 50% of the work I do at this point pays, which is great. The other work I just feel so passionate about. It's something that characters I haven't played before.
Right.
Things that are very intense that I gravitate towards. that I think would help me grow as an actor. So I still do that work. But I do have to, like you say, start toning down in the work I do locally in order to allow me the time to get to New York City or to LA once in a while to fly out.
And you do have a nice screen presence, a big one, because I saw you in Bryan short film, going back 2 or 3 years, and I was like,
Famous, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, famous. That guy
Yeah.
is good. You know, and you just had
Thank you.
kind of a moment on screen as a police detective.
Yes.
And commanding the attention, and that was fantastic. And then so on and so forth. Now, where did your passion from acting come from in the first place?
I have a family that's pretty outgoing.
Okay.
A lot of cousins that are very theatrical and comedic in their own regard. And so as a little kid, I guess I've had that in my system.
Yes.
And when I first, when my family moved to Providence, I attended St. Teresa's Church, which St. Teresa's Parish, and the school, which was next door, in Oneyville, which is no longer there.
Right.
The school is. And I got cast as the lead, as the gingerbread man in the kindergarten, in the school play, which included all the different grades.
Okay.
So that was pretty fun for me, and I guess I hammed it up, as they say.
Right, right.
You know, I was a little kid, 5, 6 years old, didn't know what I was doing, but I guess I had a presence, and I wasn't afraid of getting up there and just acting a fool, as they say.
Right, right, right.
And people enjoyed it. So that started me towards theater and acting, and all the way through middle school, I would, act in various lead roles in plays, Oliver, The Wizard of Oz, and various different plays. But then I dipped into more serious acting when I went out for a role in professional theater production at Theater by the Sea in Mattoonic, Rhode Island, where they employ off-Broadway actors. They bring them in from New York, and they're the cast for these different productions. And I tried out for Prince Chulalongkorn in The King and I got the role, which was cool. It was a speaking role. So it was my first paying gig at about 13 years old. But I did a couple productions there, including Evita as part of the ensemble cast. But as a frivolous 13-year-old kid, sports was becoming very important to me.
Right.
And so acting took a back seat. And so for the next very long period of time in my life, I focused on sports all the way throughout high school and college, even after college, playing some semi-pro football. And it wasn't until maybe 3, 4 years ago that a friend of mine, Maya Osborne, who's out in LA now, she approached me about a 48-hour film festival. She was looking for somebody to play this character.
Okay.
And me and a good friend of mine, Eric Myers, E.J. Myers, at the store would always talk and laugh and joke and come up with these different little characters or scripts or little storylines. And she said, Jose, why don't you help me out with this? And I was like, all right, fine. I hadn't acted in a long time, but I figured it'd be fun. I never did film before.
Yes.
And as soon as I did, I was bitten by the acting bug again. And that's what started it all back for me. So for the past 3.5, 4 years, I've just entrenched myself, taken every intensive that I can, workshops, any audition that comes up that I feel right for, I've gone for. And I think one of the most important things, besides having good acting chops, is being generally a good guy.
Right.
And being professional on set and being willing to help. If somebody needs help carrying something, then I'm going to help them carry it. I'm just an actor. I don't do that kind of thing.
Right.
I've actually been in situations where crew has spoken about somebody else, that, wow, what a jerk that guy was. I needed help, and he's like, oh, I don't do that kind of thing. And that's, you get a bad name, bad reputation, and that person's probably not going to work with you again, because they'll spread that around like a cancer.
Well, especially in a small market, a smaller market.
Absolutely.
It's everybody knows everybody. And
Absolutely.
I got to meet you through our mutual friend and former short film showcase guest, Nick Kachiri.
Absolutely, good friend of mine.
Yeah, Nick directed you in a piece called Love and Laundry Soap.
Yes.
And that you won an award for that.
Yes, I was very surprised. I had no idea I was even in the running for an award. That That was towards the beginning of me getting back into acting. So if I ever had the chance to reprise that role, I would love the opportunity, because I hadn't even gotten a chance to take any intensives or any acting workshops at that point. So my chops have grown infinitely since that role, since we filmed that back three and a half years ago.
Character study of a man and a woman who meet in a laundromat.
Absolutely.
And not so much a romance, but a bonding.
Correct.
Could lead to romance, and that's
Correct.
the ambiguity of the
Yeah.
piece, which makes it a nice,
Yeah.
lovely piece there.
Yeah. I love the subtlety of the acting in that. I do a lot of stuff now where they're looking for somebody with a strong physical presence, or somebody
Yeah.
who can play very gruff, or somebody who's over-the-top comedic, or
Right.
horror. And that's fun, but I think the true challenge is when you're playing a vulnerable part of yourself. Not that you're making yourself cry or anything like that, but you're just being a real person that other people can relate to and be like, I've been in a situation like that, and I didn't know how to react. And I felt awkward, and I felt exposed and naked, and I acted the same way that this person did. And that's what this Jack and Olivia in the laundromat, both of them
Right.
are, from failed relationships, and on a lonely Saturday night doing their laundry in the laundromat, and they happen upon each other, and they kind of pique each other's interest a little bit. And they start a little conversation, and before you know it, something might happen. There might be a
Right.
spark there between them that happens after, in the life of those characters, after the film ends.
Which is life.
Absolutely.
Now, in a project that you and I worked together, which is a little bit more out there,
Yes.
Disregard the Vampire,
Yes.
we cast you as Joe,
Yes.
average Joe with a chip on his shoulder.
Yes.
And in a piece that's just dialogue-based, written by Court Fisk and myself, you come in as this presence, and we had a good time on that shoot. But
Yeah.
maybe I did more than you did. Who knows?
No, that was, I had such an actor's hangover after the end of that shoot. In fact, Anna Rizzo and
Yeah.
plenty of the other, well, there's only 4 of us
Right.
in that. We spoke about how kind of depressed
Yeah.
we were when that ended, because we bonded like a family on that set. And we had 1 whole week to shoot, and we spent so much time together.
Yeah.
And we went through the whole range of emotions, even not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera,
Right.
because we were getting upset over this, or
Yeah.
somebody's on somebody's nerve over here, or, oh no, something bad happened, or we were dealing with weather issues. There was all kind of stuff going on. So it was an emotional roller coaster that we all were on together, that we all bonded. And that was such an awesome experience. What attracted to me that project was that it was a feature film that only had 4 characters in it.
Right.
So you really had to carry well your character, and you had to really live in that role in order to keep the piece interesting and
Yes.
keep the relationships alive on camera. And that was, that was one of my shining, I would say, moments. I know it's in editing right now, it's in
Yes.
post-production, but that'll be one of my shining moments, I would say.
Well, Disregard the Vampire is going to do you justice, because me and the editor, Chris Hunter, another former guest on our show, were just looking at some footage last night. And
Yes.
boy, oh boy. So,
Excellent.
well, we have a few more minutes, and we want to talk about, let's talk about the nature of sports and acting. Now, sports is a real-life competition.
Yes.
And it's me versus the opponent. Victor gets the spoils. Collaboration, more so than competition, would be acting.
Absolutely.
Except when you're in the auditioning process, when it's
Yeah.
every man for himself. But
Yeah.
Do you ever think about or reflect upon how sports and acting have kind of segued or overlapped or gone from one extreme to the other with your personal life?
Absolutely. I learned early on in sports. The first team I was ever on was a soccer team, and great guy coached it. I'm still friends with his son, who was on the team with us. We lost every single game.
Okay.
Every single game that season, and I mean blown out, like 10-0, 12-0 in soccer. That's pretty bad.
Right.
But it was my first time playing a team sport, and I pushed so hard, which I tend to do in everything in my life. I go 100%. If I don't, that's like a motto of mine. If I don't go 100%, then there's no point in me doing it. I was lucky enough on that losing team to win a spot well, not audition because it was a sport, to try out for the All-Star team. So I did, and I actually made the team. So from this losing team, this guy who never played soccer before tries out, and I won a spot in the All-Star team, which is great. And that All-Star team, we won every single game we played.
Nice.
We even went up to New York and Niagara Falls and almost made it to the Nationals. That's the only game we lost was that last game, and that was our season done. But we were killing everybody, 12-0, 14-0, 10-0. But I learned early on that teamwork and collaboration is most important. It's good to shine, but you couldn't shine and the team still win. You know, you might get 2, 3, 4 goals on your own, but a lot of times your team would suffer because nobody else was involved in the game. You were hogging the ball.
Right.
So you had to get everybody else involved in the game and keep everybody engaged. Same thing happens in acting. When you're on a set, there is nobody who's more important than the other.
Right.
The lead actor, the extra, featured extra, the cast person, the person who's getting coffee, or the person who's changing the gels and the lighting. Everybody's equally as important because everybody's got a job to do, which is to make this production entertaining for the audience who's going to watch it. And so everybody hinges on the other person. And that's why I think, you know, professionalism when you're on the set, you can't take yourself as, oh, I'm an actor, or I'm the lead in this, I'm not going to carry this, or I'm not going to help with that, or
Right.
I'm not going to work with this guy and his lines, you know. That's his problem. No, it's your problem, because when you're in a scene with that person, you want them to feel a relationship. And if they don't feel a relationship, it's not going to be real. There's not going to be any energy, any spark, and who's going to want to watch it? It's not interesting to anybody. So it's very important to help out. Cast, crew, anybody who's on set and involved with the production. You should be like that in life in general. You know, generally helpful to people who are around you.
Jose, we just have about a minute left, but based on what you just said, it sounds like you're getting ready to write and direct yourself.
Yeah, I've been doing some writing, experimenting with some writing. I guess I've written for a long time, but now more formally, I've begun writing. Actually, just last night was doing a conference call with Kate Carson and Mary Keough, who's an actress, fabulous actress from out Montana. I met her on a workshop, Molly Benson workshop, an LA acting coach. And I've also got another collaboration that I'm also working on, along with Andrea Denise Rios, Leal, which is her full Mexican name.
Right.
But yeah, I've got those 2 scripts and a couple others that I'm working on privately on my own. When the muse hits me for a certain script, I'll pick it up and I'll start working on it. Otherwise, you know, I'm working on collaborations.
Jose, we've got to have you on another episode.
Thank you very much. I'd love to be here.
It's awesome to see you once again, my friend.
Thank you, Mike.
Jose Gonsalvez.
Love being here.
We've reached the end of another great episode of Short Film Showcase. I want to thank our 2 special guests, actors Ken Holmes and Jose Gonsalvez, for being here on this episode. For all you future filmmakers out there, if you're thinking, man, I'd like to work with Ken and I'd like to work with Jose and all the other great actors throughout the region, remember, don't just sit there and think about making your movie, because if you can dream it, shoot it. I'm Mike Massier for Short Film Showcase.